He's 30 years of age. Wow. And he's Chris Wood. He's up in the northeast at the moment. It probably won't get done while we're on air between 10 and 1, but it will get done. Chris Wood of Burnley, set to become Chris Wood of Newcastle. And he's about to become the second signing of the Saudi-backed Newcastle era. I mean, I must admit, Simon, when this was brought to light, I checked social media and the Newcastle fans were thinking, with all due respect to Chris Wood, who I know and I've spoken to, we kind of expected better than this.
I think that's a little bit unfair, because I think he's if you look at his goal scoring record for Leeds, okay, albeit Championship, it was 1 in 2. If you look at his goal scoring record at Burnley, which is a team which isn't a prolific goal scoring team, which isn't set up to score lots of goals, he's got 1 in 3.
Yeah.
I think as a leader of the line, as an Antipodean player that plays with a very honest way, I think he's actually not a bad signing.
Yeah,
I think he'll do a job, especially if they're going to put balls in the box and they're going to play a certain way and get people on the ball that can deliver balls to him. I think it's a decent signing.
But what are your mates at Burnley doing? They're involved in a relegation spat with Newcastle.
They've got no choice, have they? What choice have they got? The only choice they have is the loyalty of the player. The player turning around and saying, by the way,
how have they allowed it to happen?
Well, because I suspect that when they first signed him, there was one valuation of him. He signed a contract in 2017 that put him on a 4-year contract. There's obviously been a renewal of that contract, because otherwise he wouldn't still be at Burnley in 2022. So in the renewal, something has happened that the agent has been able to assert a mechanism in there if an opportunity comes. Because he's going to Newcastle with the greatest respect in the world, because there's an incentive to the contract that he's going to be given, because ultimately Burnley would have said to him, we don't want you to go, we'll make you a new contract offer, I suspect.
Yeah.
And I suspect the new contract offer that Burnley could have made will not be as significant as the Newcastle one. So he's jumped ship because A, of the project, and B, because there's a financial incentive to it. And I don't care who doesn't like that.
I mean, I think Burnley fans will be upset, to say the least of it, in this.
I
mean, Burnley are down there scrapping, 1 win in 17. I mean, both these clubs on 11 points. Yeah. Trevor, what is going on? Well, they lose the guy who they rely on to get them the goals.
Yeah, I think if you're going to put a sell-on clause into a contract, you make it a clause where the money that you're going to receive, you can get a player in of similar quality. And I don't think that Burnley have done that. Because £20 million, I think that's a snip. I've watched him a few times this season. I think he's very mobile. His hold-up play is great. He scores goals. Simon mentioned he's 1 in 2 when he was at Leeds. He's 1 in 3 over his whole career, and that is international football as well. He's played 75 games for New Zealand, scored 25 goals. He is a good footballer. He's a good striker, and he's proven in the Premier League. And if you look at his stats, 12 goals last season, 14 the season before, 10. Double figures almost guaranteed every season for this player in the Premier League.
And he'll get Newcastle up the pitch because he'll hold the ball up
6
for them.
6'3".
And he'll get people into the game. I think, tragically for Burnley, as much as I want to lambast the ownership there for the way they bought that club, this deal probably isn't their deal. They inherited the deal of Chris Wood's contractual situation.
Yeah.
And Burnley can, and Sean Dyche and the Burnley fans can be as enraged as they want, but there's nothing they could have done. Because it's not a sell-on clause, it's a release clause. And the release clause at the level, and I would say to you that possibly Burnley, from an economic point of view, would be quite happy with this transfer if impending doom is coming their way. Because if they bought it, they said they bought him for 15 million quid, which probably means they bought him for about 11 or 12. If he's on their books now, worth about 2 million quid, they've sold him for 20 million quid, they've made a £20 million profit.
Oh, but regardless of the money, how can Burnley possibly be happy? They're selling a top striker, from what you two are saying to me, to their main rival.
But they've got no choice.
They haven't got a choice.
There's no choice.
It certainly hinders Burnley. And not only you look at his quality, he was Players' Player of the season last year. Now it might not sound like a big deal.
He's popular with
when
the rest
your
of the
peers
lads,
he'll put himself about as well.
Love you as well.
Yeah. He's an honest player, isn't he?
But when we mentioned it last week, we said what kind of players the Newcastle need to bring in. They don't need to bring in these big stars who are just going to go there and pick up money. They need to bring in players who are going to take responsibility and take the job seriously and do a job and be humble and work hard.
It doesn't matter what it is. The job is. We've sat here saying that the job in hand, insofar as it's a calamity. I don't think it's a calamity they get relegated. I just think it's an exercise in wasting time because they don't need to. They're still in touch with everybody. Now they go and buy Chris Wood. They give themselves an opportunity. Chris Wood is the one that might find himself marginalised in a year's time because they buy better players. Yeah. But in the meantime, he'll get a bigger contract. He'll get an opportunity to secure his own future,
and he'll get a lot of opportunity to score goals.
And I think he'll get a lot of opportunity to score goals in Newcastle. And I think it's a really good signing. And unfortunately for Burnley, they're the architects of their own downfall.
Yeah.
They put this clause in there, and but then saying
There's nothing good about this for Burnley.
But saying this, Jim, when he signs a 4-year contract from Leeds in 2017, he comes there for say my argument is right, 11 million quid. 2 years into his contract, they want to renew it. He's in the box seat then, so he says to Burnley, "I'm only re-signing for you guys because I'm a strong centre forward. I can go somewhere else. If I have this clause in my contract at 29, 30 years of age, I can be released at a decent price if someone else wants me to come along." So Burnley were in a difficult position all the way along because, with due respect to Burnley, to players that could potentially move on to bigger levels, they're always going to be seen as a stepping stone mentality because they're never going to be in the box seat unless your career goes a certain way. So I feel sorry for Burnley, but I think this might be the straw that breaks the camel's back for them.
Do you wonder why, though, some of these clubs agree to signing
because they've got no choice.
These contract deals.
Because they've got no choice. You're not listening to what I said.
Yeah.
When they came from Leeds, they were in the box seat. They were a Premier League football club buying a Championship player. When he's in the Premier League, he's established himself. They like him. They go to him with a contract renewal, which they must have done because his contract expired. He's in the box seat because he's there sitting there going, "You're the one offering me a new contract. You're the one that wants me to stay."
Yeah.
So with that in mind, this is how I want to operate. And his agent has put him in a wonderful position, and Burnley in a cleft one.
Well, it's either
His agent has put him in a
the offer in the
wonderful
new.
position.
Yeah, well, because his agent's working for him, not the club, is he?
Not true.
He either signs a new
And the
contract.
club probably paid the agent as well. For
Or
that
else he
privilege.
plays until the end of the contract and it expires and he goes for free. So they've got 20 million for him. So it's better than
But
nothing.
he can't go. He can't sit there and go because the release clause has been. He can't sit there and play his contract out.
No,
The
I'm
release
saying
clause was
before he
met.
signed the new contract.
Exactly. Gone on
Very
the free.
keen to get the views of Newcastle and Burnley fans on this one. What do you think? Burnley fans, you've been left here in a pretty desperate situation. You're in a desperate situation as it is. You've won 1 in 17 and you're propping up the league, of course, with the likes of Newcastle, curiously, and Norwich. And now the guy you rely on to sell the goals is at Newcastle and is about to sign for them. I mean, what kind of situation is that?